complete without the नाउ सीजीएम क्यों इम्पोर्टेंट है? बिकॉज सीजीएम थ्रू आउट द जर्नी हमें हमारे प्रोग्राम को ज्यादा कस्टमाइज, ज्यादा सेंट्रिक बनाने में हेल्प करता है। ओके, हाउएवर एक चीज का हमें ध्यान रखना है, अगर हम सोचे कि कोई बहुत मैजिक हो जाएगा या कोई जादुई छड़ी से हमारा शुगर लेवल कंट्रोल में हो जाएगा, ट्रस्ट मी पीपल, ऐसा नहीं होने वाला है। ओके, हमको ये चीज का बहुत अच्छे से ध्यान रखना है। इट इज ऑलवेज अ गिव एंड टेक रिलेशनशिप, और यहाँ पे भी सेम चीज होगी। जितने नो कॉन्स्टेंटली, जितने जेन्यूनली आप अपने एफर्ट्स देंगे टुवर्ड्स योर जर्नी और अपने कोच के लिए, टुवर्ड्स योर हेल्थ, उतना ही आपको अच्छा रिजल्ट मिलेगा। व्हेन इट कम्स टू द सीजीएम, एक सिचुएशन इमेजिन कीजिए कि आपका सीजीएम चल रहा है, आपके कोच को ग्राफ्स दिख रहे हैं, स्पाइक्स हो रहे हैं, देर आर स्पाइक्स, देर आर लोज, ऊपर नीचे आपका ग्राफ दिख रहा है, पर बाजू में कोई डेटा नहीं है हमारा, ना उसमें फूड स्कोर दिख, ना हमें फूड का डेटा दिख रहा है, ना हमने एक्सरसाइज लॉग इन की है, ना हमने मेडिकेशंस लॉग इन की है। इन दैट केस वो हमारा काफी काफी इनकम्प्लीट डेटा होता है टू एनालाइज इट। ओके, सो ये कंप्लीटली आपकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होती है, स्पेशली ड्यूरिंग द सीजीएम पीरियड, कि आप जितना हो सके उतना डेटा लॉग इन कीजिए। एंड एज नेहा सेड, कनेक्ट हमारे लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। वेदर आपकी जर्नी स्मूथली चल रही है या हर्डल्स आ रहे हैं, चीजें फॉलो हो रही है नहीं हो रही है, इरिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ ऑल दीज थिंग्स, इट इज वेरी वेरी क्रूशियल फॉर अस कि आप अपने कोच से कनेक्ट में रहे। एटलीस्ट वीकली 1 या 2 बार आपकी अपने कोच से बात होनी चाहिए। ट्रस्ट मी पीपल, आई विल शेयर दिस विथ यू। जब मैं सुबह अपना चैट ओपन करती हूँ, मुझे पिक्चर्स दिख रहा है कभी छोले भटूरे के, इवनिंग्स में ऐसी सम पानी पूरी एंड चाट एंड ढोकला विद सम स्पाइसेस ऑन इट। सो आई सी दीज थिंग्स, और मुझे क्यों दिखता है? बिकॉज आई एम वेरी ट्रांसपेरेंट विथ माई कोच क्लाइंट्स, कि नहीं, आप जो भी खा रहे हो मुझे आपके पिक्चर्स दिखने चाहिए। जरूरी नहीं है ना कि हम हेल्दी चीज ही खाए तो ही हम हमारे कोच को पिक्चर भेजेंगे। अगर सब कुछ इतना सही होता तो हमें शुगर फिट ज्वाइन करने की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ती, राइट? इसलिए दिस इज अ प्लेटफॉर्म जहाँ पे हमें हमारे इम्परफेक्शंस को समझ के, हमारे लैक्यूनेस को समझ के, हमें उन पे काम करना है और उनको बैलेंस आउट करना है। सो द जिस्ट इज, आप जितना डेटा प्रोवाइड करेंगे अपने कोच को, उतना आपका कोच आपको हेल्प कर पाएगा। ओके, दैट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अस टू अंडरस्टैंड। आई थिंक यू कैन वेट फॉर अनदर 2 मिनट्स, उसके बाद हम हमारा सेशन स्टार्ट करते हैं। वी कैन टेक फ्यू चैट्स, क्वेश्चंस इफ वी हैव इन द चैट। Any questions we have, Shravani, in the chat that you would want me to answer?
Yeah, I'm just checking.
Yeah,
Oh, I don't think so. We have many as of now.
नोटेड। सो रीमा जी, आपके क्वेश्चन का मैंने आंसर किया था, आपका सेकंड सीजीएम एक्टिवेट नहीं हो रहा है। आप या तो डायरेक्टली आपके थ्रू एक आपका टिकट रेज कर दीजिए, या फिर गेट इन टच विथ योर कोच, वो आपको हेल्प करेंगे इस प्रोसेस में। ओके, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर द फीडबैक मिस्टर अमित रिगार्डिंग द सेशन। एंड आई एम वेरी ग्लैड कि आप अपना मेडिसिन, फूड, एक्टिविटी सभी चीज़ें लॉग इन कर रहे हैं, बिकॉज ये चीज़ें हमें बहुत हेल्प करती है टू अंडरस्टैंड आवर जर्नी, राइट? I'll rather say this is something like, we are trying to understand ourselves. Of course, your coach is understanding you throughout the journey. That is a different story. But you yourself get to know how your body is responding, what is suiting you, what is not suiting you. So it's a beautiful journey to analyze yourself throughout the process of CGM. That is very, very crucial, right? Because let's consider maybe after 1 year, after 2 years, maybe when we are not connected to the platform of SugarFit, but you should be educated in this journey so much that by the end of the year or by the end of 2 years, when someone is asking you or someone is offering you to eat something, you should be very well aware. No, no, I would preferably not have this, or let me have my salads first. That will help me to manage my glucose levels better. So, you will understand your body. Okay, this exercise is suiting me well. This food is not probably very good for me. So, this is the educational journey what I would want all of you to understand throughout the process, right? And that is what all SugarFit is about for us. Shrav, I think you can share your screen. We will start with the session. So before I start with the session, once again, because we have very, a lot of clients who have joined the session in last few minutes. Firstly, I welcome you all on this Sunday pleasant morning. It's a beautiful weather around, monsoons, greenery. And on this Sunday morning, I am glad you all could join the session, because trust me, another 1 hour is going to be super informative and a lot of things that you have to take away with the session today. So I, Radhika, my colleagues, my colleague Shravani, and Neha, they are on the call with us, and we all will be helping you to solve all your queries and to make you understand what exactly a CGM is, and to get your all doubts and queries sorted over here. Okay. So as I just mentioned, today's topic is regarding the CGM. Okay, we'll try to understand what are the top tips to manage and understand the device and how it is going to help us in the journey going ahead for us. So let's go to the first slide. First question: what exactly is a CGM? Okay, now many of us might have used the CGM before joining the program, but many of us still have the question. A lot of my clients also ask me once they join the program, what is CGM, how it is going to help us, right? So we will go very slowly and very religiously step by step to understand what exactly a CGM is. Now, firstly, what exactly CGM stands for? CGM stands for your continuous glucose monitoring device. Okay. Now, this is a small device. It's like a coin-shaped structure which you put on your arm, and this is helping you to track your glucose levels real time throughout the day. Okay. It's like it is a 24 hours data that we get in through your CGM. Okay. So now the CGM is something which works on your sensor. इसमें this works on your sensor and it helps us to capture the reading every 15 minutes through our body, and this is something which is helping us to analyze our glucose levels through day in and day out. Okay, I hope I'm clear with this. Any doubts, any queries, people keep dropping in a message in the chat section. We will work at our utmost importance. We'll try to sort all your queries, so please drop in all your questions in the chat section as of now, and by the end of the session we'll surely have a good question session with all of you. Now, how is CGM different from glucometer? Right now, we just had a comment in the chat section that there's a difference of 30 to 40 mg per DL between a CGM and a glucometer. The reason being that the CGM takes the reading from your interstitial fluid, and once you check with the glucometer, the glucometer takes the reading from your blood. That is the basic difference between the two. Okay. However, even if we try to cross check the readings, firstly, there is no need to cross check the readings between the two devices because both the devices are completely different, their purpose are different, and the results they give are completely different. Now, why it is important for us to understand each device differently is we cannot prick our finger every 15 minutes or every half an hour or every 1 hour. हम कर सकते हैं क्या? अगर मैं आपको बोलूं कि रीमा जी आप दिन में 25 बार मुझे अपनी फिंगर प्रिक करके रीडिंग दीजिए बाय द एंड ऑफ द डे, वो चीजें हमारे लिए पॉसिबल नहीं है, राइट? दैट इज नॉट प्रैक्टिकली पॉसिबल दैट वी प्रिक आवरसेल्व्स 15 टाइम्स और 10 टाइम्स इन अ डे. एंड वहां पे पिक्चर में आता है आपका सीजीएम, राइट? बिकॉज सीजीएम हमने एक बार हमें अटैच कर लिया, उसके बाद हमको प्रिक नहीं करना पड़ता है. थ्रू द सेंसर हमारी बॉडी हर 15 मिनट्स में रीडिंग कैप्चर कर रही है, और वो हमें हमारे बॉडी के ट्रेंड्स एंड पैटर्न्स को एक्सप्लेन करने में हेल्प कर रही है. ओके, सो दिस इज द बेसिक डिफरेंस बिटवीन अ ग्लूकोमीटर एंड अ सीजीएम. मैं आगे चल के आपको बहुत अच्छे से डायग्राम के थ्रू भी ये चीज समझाऊंगी. दैट विल गिव यू सम मोर क्लैरिटी गोइंग अहेड. नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज, श्रावणी. दिस इज व्हाट आई वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट टीम. ओके, जो आप पहला पिक्चर देख रहे हैं जहां पे आपको लॉन्ग निडल दिख रही है, दिस इज अवर ग्लूकोमीटर. दिस इज समथिंग जो आप घर पे शुगर टेस्ट करते हैं या बाहर जाके लैब में टेस्ट करवाते हैं, जो आप घर पे आप टेस्ट करते हैं खुद से. दिस इज अवर ग्लूकोमीटर. इट हैज अ नीडल, और वो आपका शुगर रीडिंग लेता है आपके ब्लड से. वो आपको उस वक्त का इमीडिएट रीडिंग दे रहा है, राइट? सो इट विल हेल्प अस टू अंडरस्टैंड. फॉर एग्जांपल, आई हैड माय ब्रेकफास्ट एट 8. आई स्टार्टेड माय ब्रेकफास्ट हैविंग एट 8. I want to have my post breakfast readings. I took my readings at 10 o'clock sharp and I took it with a glucometer. Okay. It gave me a reading of, let's consider, 110. I am very happy. Okay, my readings are 110. बहुत अच्छा reading है. Well done, Radhika. Okay. But maybe after half an hour, I see some major spikes. I might have spikes. But I don't know that because I did not check it again after half an hour. Okay. And there comes the role of CGM people. Now, the second image that you can see here is, the round colored patch on your skin. That is your CGM. It's a small coin structured shape which we put it on our arm, and इसमें needle नहीं होती है. Okay, it does not have any needle and it works on a sensor. The needle like structure what you are able to see on the CGM is not a needle. It is rather a small hair like filament which goes till the interstitial fluid, the layer of your skin, and it helps us to capture the readings from there. Now let me probably give you again a small revision of this. This is the basic difference between a CGM and a glucometer. CGM takes a reading from your interstitial fluid and it does not have a needle. It gives you readings every 15 minutes of your body. Okay. However, the glucometer, the another picture, has a long needle, takes the reading from your blood, and you every time have to prick yourself to get the reading. This is the basic difference between a CGM and a glucometer. So around 30, 40, 50 mg per DL readings difference you can see between both the devices. Now, this is something not to get concerned or panicked about is because as I mentioned, आप ग्लूकोमीटर से रीडिंग हर आधे घंटे में नहीं ले सकते, बट CGM is giving us the readings every 15 minutes, helping us to understand the trends and patterns. Okay. Now, regarding the glucometer, it is determined by the user and results displayed immediately. हम immediately दिख जाता है. We took the reading, maybe fasting or a random or a post meal, so we got the reading. Okay. Now, here you have to use a lancet which you use is a single use lancet that we are using. You cannot use it like, it is, we cannot use it multiple times. So this is a single use lancet that is there. Also the strip that is there, it is single use. Once you prick yourself, you use a lancet, you use a strip, आपने अपनी reading देख ली, then you have to throw it away. This is not like a reusable thing for us. Okay. And with the glucometer, like for example, every day I'm taking a glucometer reading, maybe it can be sometimes of the fasting, sometimes random, sometimes pre-meal, sometimes post-meal. This will help me to, probably discuss with my coach. My coach will be discussing with me, and this will eventually help us to understand, to manage your lifestyle, your routine, your medications in a better way. Okay. With the CGM, as I mentioned, it gives us the readings every 15 minutes through the help of a sensor. And this is something which is again helping us understand the lows and highs of sugar level. For example, I have put in a CGM. I see that, okay, my morning levels are amazing. Till afternoon, till evening, my sugar levels are absolutely amazing in the range. However, every evening I see around 6 o'clock, I have a lot of spikes there with my sugar levels. Maybe sometimes around 5:30, sometimes 5:45, sometimes around 6. Now, what is happening is my CGM is giving me that understanding that yes, Radhika, around evening hours, you every time have some disturbance with your glucose levels, wherein the sugar levels are going up every day around in the evening hours. And as per the data that we have, we try to firstly confirm it. If it has happened once in a while, that's not something we would take it very, seriously or as a concern for us. But if we see that it is happening quite frequently and every evening for around 5 6 days, we have the same data, that is something like a trend and pattern for us. और फिर उसके हिसाब से we try to make the changes. If I see कि every day शाम में मेरा sugar level shoot up हो रहा है, I will try to manage my physical activity accordingly. I will try to manage my meals accordingly. तो उसके हिसाब से हम हमारे डाइट वर्कआउट्स में चेंजेस कर सकते हैं. कुछ डाइटरी हैक्स हम ऐड कर सकते हैं सो दैट वी कैन मैनेज द शुगर लेवल्स बेटर जब हमारे शुगर लेवल्स में बहुत ऊंच नीच हो रही है. नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज. Now let us understand why CGM is important for your journey, okay? Because CGM, as I mentioned, sugar fit का बहुत important part है. And trust me, for most of us, it is a very new thing, right? हमने एक बार प्रिक किया है, हमने 3 महीने में एक बार शुगर लेवल चेक कराया, अच्छा फास्टिंग इतना आया था, अच्छा पोस्ट मिल इतना आया था. बट यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, थ्रू आउट द डे आपको पता है शुगर कब ऊपर जा रहा है, कब नीचे जा रहा है. दिस इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग पार्ट एंड समथिंग टू नो योर बॉडी इन अ वेरी बेटर वे. अब सीजीएम लगाना हमारे लिए क्यों इंपॉर्टेंट है? फर्स्टली, इट इज समथिंग विच इज हेल्पिंग अस टू गिव अस पर्सनलाइज इनसाइट्स. आई टेल यू हाउ. There are 5 different people in front of us. 5 people have their different CGM graphs. So we cannot give every, same interventions or same, suggestions to each one of you. Maybe Mr. X is having sugar levels high in the evening hours. Mr. Y is having hypoglycemia in the early morning hours. Mr. Z is having, very beautiful graph throughout the day. So everyone's journey is different. Everyone's problems are different and everyone's CGM graphs are different. Depending upon that, you will be getting your personalized insights on that. Like if we see that every day post your lunch sugar levels आपकी काफी spike हो रहा है. So as a coach, I will try to understand the reason behind that. Why the sugar levels are spiking up? Do I really need to check the meals for this? Did we not have the meal in a proper proportion for us? So these are the personalized insights which you will get for yourself during the CGM period. हमने कहाँ changes करने हैं? What are the plus? What are the minus? What are the additions we should do? What are the subtractions which we have to do? And these are very personalized depending upon your CGM graph. Real-time feedbacks. You might have seen on your CGM graphs in the app as well. during the all 14 days you get those, CGM insights for yourself. Every day CGM has a comment on that from your coach. This is something that we have to work on. You get those real time feedbacks. अगर मुझे दिख रहा है that श्रावणी का शुगर स्पाइक हो रहा है हर दिन आफ्टरनून में, आई विल कनेक्ट विथ हर एंड आई विल ट्राई टू वर्क ऑन इट सो दैट वो चीजें हम इम्प्रूव कर सके. देन मुझे दिख रहा है कि मिस्टर रॉय का शुगर लेवल रोज अराउंड 11:30 ड्रॉप डाउन हो रहा है, हाइपोग्लाइसीमिया में शुगर लेवल जा रहे हैं, हमारे शुगर लेवल ड्रॉप डाउन हो रहा है. what will I try to do is I will try to connect with my client. I will try to talk to them and will try to manage our meals accordingly. Maybe we did not eat for a very long period of time and उस वजह से हमारा शुगर लेवल ड्रॉप डाउन हो सकता है. ठीक है. सो आई विल ट्राई टू कनेक्ट विथ माई क्लाइंट एंड आई विल ट्राई टू वर्क ऑन इट ताकि हमारा ग्राफ बेटर रहे एंड रियल टाइम आपको फीडबैक्स मिल सके. Then next is about better planning. Now this is something again that is basic gist of why we are using a CGM. When we use a CGM, because we are getting the correct feedbacks, because we are getting a good data of ourselves, we are understanding our body better. So now when the data is there in front of us, what is the next step for us? Next step is to plan the things better for ourselves. Okay, of course, with your suggestions, with your problems that you have, and with the guidance of your coach, things are better planned for you so that eventually by the end of the journey it is coming into your favor, or rather we are improving on our glucose readings by each coming day that we have. Okay, so the CGM is important because it is helping us to get those real time feedbacks, helping us to get the thing personalized as per our convenience and as per the requirement of the body, eventually helping us to plan the things better जो कि आपके हेल्थ के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है और जो कि आपके ग्लूकोज लेवल्स को कंट्रोल करने के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है. ठीक है. Next slide, please. Now, how it helps in your reversal journey. This is a question, I think, which is a very common question to all of us. कि okay, we have joined the platform, we have invested in this program, हमको शुगर रिवर्स करना है, बट एक छोटा सा डिवाइस सीजीएम हमको कैसे हेल्प कर सकता है ये चीज करने में. एंड दिस इज व्हाट वी आर गोइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड इन अनदर फ्यू मिनट्स. Firstly, it's about identifying the patterns. As I mentioned, CGM आपकी रीडिंग ले रहा है every 15 minutes. So you have that graph. पूरे 24 hours का ग्राफ है. I see the sugar levels are sometimes dropping down, sometimes spiking up. So I have those graphs in front of me. Once I study the graph for another 5 to 7 days, I understand the pattern of you. So, for example, Mr. Ramalingaka, I see the sugar levels. I see the graph. I see that, okay, the graph is quite smooth in the morning hours. However, I see a lot of fluctuations in the afternoon post
Uh,
meal. Or
Radhika, can we see that? Are we, tuned to the PPT also? Just check whether the right slide is visible to you.
yeah. You can just go back and again share the screen, Shravani. So we were talking about how it is helping us. Okay. Now हमें दिख रहा है, we see those spikes, we see how it is going to help us, and accordingly we can make the changes for our CGM. Okay, we can make the modifications depending upon what trends and what patterns of glucose do we have. Okay, that is point one. We can identify the patterns of our glucose and we know. For example, every morning my sugar levels are dropping down, so I'll take those precautions to ensure that that is not happening, or I'm giving my 100% and working towards it to ensure that I have a meal before that, or I have my snacks before that, so that I can avoid dropping of the glucose levels. That is point one. Next is optimizing diet and exercise. Depending upon the graphs that we have during the CGM, we can make a lot of modifications in that. So for example, I see that every day post having my dinner, my sugar levels are spiking up. Maybe because I was having a high carbohydrate diet, fiber might not be enough, protein might not be enough, and accordingly I'll try to modify my meals as well. Maybe ragi is something which is really suiting me well. Maybe jawar is something which is helping me to control my glucose levels, and that is helping us to modify the meals. Not just meals, but also exercise. A lot of clients have a question, I had a good walk, still my sugar levels spiked up. And for few people, they see that, okay, after having strength training workout or resistance workout, sugar levels were really in control. Now, this is again very individualized. हो सकता है आपके लिए वीट बहुत सुटेबल हो बट मेरे लिए ना हो सकता है फॉर समवन रागी इज सूटिंग वेल बट फॉर समवन एल्स रागी इज नॉट सूटिंग वेल. सो आपका डाइट का पैटर्न क्या है, आपका एक्सरसाइज का पैटर्न क्या है, इन चीजों पे हम काम कर सकते हैं और वो हमारे रिवर्सल जर्नी में हमें हेल्प करता है. ओके. एंड मॉनिटरिंग द प्रोग्रेस. You might have seen and observed in your thing, once you start with the CGM part, day one, there is something called as metabolic score. We'll talk about it. So there's something called as a metabolic score. वो आपका maybe 38 रहा होगा. Going ahead after 3 days, you see it has reached to 40s. And maybe by the end of the CGM period, on 12th day or 13th day, you see that the metabolic score has come out to be 75. Now, what is this? This is the progress that we could see. This is, monitoring the progress. So we have come from maybe from 0 to 7 and now we have to reach to 10. और वो चीज हमने कैसे की? Because throughout the CGM period, the coach was connecting with us. We were discussing about what did we eat, how did we eat, when did we exercise, what is suiting us well, what food is causing the spikes, what time is that we are seeing the hypo episodes. So this is how you are able to monitor the progress for yourself. And by the end of the CGM journey, by the end of, let's say, by the end of 14th day, you see a visible difference in your, in the pattern of your graph. And I can say this very confidently because I have seen with most of my clients, initially when we start with the journey, the CGM metabolic score is 35, even 36, even 28 I have seen for my clients. And gradually from 30s to 40s to 50s to 60s, they have eventually reached to 80s as well. And that is how we, progress is monitored through the CGM period, by making it more individualized and by connecting with your client and discussing every parameter which is essential for us. Next slide, please. Now, how to interpret the CGM data? This is one of the most important thing, because if there is data right in front of us and we do not understand it, that really makes no sense. Okay. And therefore, throughout the journey, we make it, when we ensure it, every topic which is important for us, may it be your diet, may it be your workout, may it be your CGM, your exercise, your mindfulness, every topic has given a certain amount of time to discuss with your coach, right? And mostly the CGM data is discussed during your second welcome call, and your coach makes you understand how to read the graph, how you should be able to understand it. Okay. So now how to interpret your CGM data is firstly review daily patterns. I open the CGM graph. I see, okay, when is my sugar level in the range? मेरा sugar level कब बढ़ रहा है? मेरा sugar level कब drop down हो रहा है? So I try to see the daily patterns of my sugar level through my CGM graph. That is very, very important. Then secondly, I try to analyze my meal impact. Now let me give you an example for this. Today morning, I had, maybe white bread with some jam or some butter, and I see the amount of spikes that I have in my graph. I understand the pattern post having my breakfast. Next day, I have a very wholesome breakfast of, some homemade coconut chutney, sambar with lot of vegetables, and two idli. Okay. So I again try to see how is the spike post consuming that meal. The third day, I have maybe moong dal chila with some mint and, coriander chutney. And I again try to analyze how were the graphs. So what am I trying to do is, after having my meals, how is it impacting my glucose level is what I'm trying to analyze on my CGM graphs. Okay. So CGM helps us to analyze after having what meal, how the spikes are there, how is it affecting your glucose levels is what the CGM is going to help us understand. Next, it's about the exercise effect. Now, regarding exercise, we also see sometimes post-exercise, the sugar levels might really drop down, or maybe post-exercise, we might see a spike. So a lot of clients have a question, I exercised so well, I had a 1 hour walk, why did the sugar levels go up so high? Now, this is again something that we really need to understand. Did we have a pre-workout meal? Were we completely fasting before we exercised? What intensity of exercise did we do? So these are the things which we will understand during the CGM period. How is the impact on your glucose levels of your exercise, and whatever exercise you're doing, irrespective of it is a cardio, strength training, whatever it is, it will eventually help us to understand the impact of your exercise or the effect of exercise on the. Next is identifying the hypo and hyperglycemia events. Now, this is something which is, I think, a very, very important part to understand, because as I mentioned, once we see the data constantly on the CGM graph, like I am analyzing the data for, let's say, last 10 days or 7 days, I see on every day's graph at some particular time, maybe in the early morning hours, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, I see some really sugar levels dropping down, going up to 50, 60. So now that is like a trend of my body, that, okay, every morning, early morning hours, my sugar levels are going in the hypo zone. So I will try to understand and analyze accordingly that this is the trend and pattern of my body. So that will help me to identify and of course to correct those numbers which are required. Now, next is time in range. Now, what exactly is time in range is? It is the percentage of time that the glucose levels are within your target range. Okay. Now, for example, I would want my sugar levels to be mostly between 80 to 140. That is my time in range. Better the time in range numbers that we have, better we are going to have our glucose levels. Okay. So, this is again very, very important that we have to maintain the sugar levels in the range most of the times. Next is glucose variability. Glucose variability is nothing but the fluctuations in your glucose levels throughout the day that we have. So lesser the fluctuations or smaller the fluctuations we have, better the glucose numbers that we'll be having. So this is the glucose variability and impact of medications. This is again very, very, very crucial for us to understand that medication plays a very, very important role for us. Most of us would do not want to go for medications at all. मुझे नहीं लेनी है दवाई, मुझे दवाई बंद करनी है. Of course, we want to do that, but there is a process of it. इवेंचुअली अगर आपके शुगर लेवल्स आज के डेट में बहुत ज्यादा हायर एंड पे है, आपका HbA1c 9 है, 10 है, हम इमीडिएटली आपकी दवाई बंद नहीं कर सकते, राइट? आपके डॉक्टर आपके रिपोर्ट्स देखते हैं, आपका CGM ग्राफ स्टडी करते हैं, अकॉर्डिंगली वो आपको मेडिकेशन का डोज देते हैं. एंड ग्रेजुअली गोइंग अहेड, once we work on our lifestyle, the medication doses are gradually reduced and your doctor decides the dosage of that for sure. So the CGM will also help us to understand the impact of medication. You have that option to log in your diet, your workout, your medications, your sleep, everything on the CGM graph. So let us ensure we are logging in as much data as possible for us to understand these effects of your food, your exercise, your medications, your sleep during your CGM period. Next slide, please. Now, CGM scores on the sugar free tab. What all other things that we will be able to understand? Firstly, as I mentioned about the metabolic score. So Shravani will be taking you ahead what exactly a metabolic score is in the coming slides. Secondly, we'll try to understand the food score. Now, food score basically is, calculating and understanding how much spike did we have or how did the food react in your body after, once you had it. So it's basically the rise that we have after consuming particular food. I'll give you a very small example over here. Few days back, I was just trying to understand, CGM graph with my client. I saw uh, it was some pani puri and save puri, and it was some, a piece of pastry that the client had consumed in the evening hours, and there was no spike at all, and the food score was 9, which is a very good score. Okay, so 9 and 10 are considered as a good food score. Does it mean that having a pastry and having a save puri is completely fine? The answer to this is a no, right? This basically helps us to understand not that whether the food is good or bad, but it helps us to understand how much spike or how much rise did we have at that particular time after having that particular food. That is basically your food score. Then your fitness score. How much there was a spike in the glucose levels post consuming doing your physical activity, like how much the sugar levels were before you started the exercise and how much peak did we have during your exercise or post your exercise is what the fitness score is. And of course your sleep, it is basically what time do you go to the bed and your wake up time and the duration of your sleep is helping us decide your sleep score. So these are the important parameters which you will understand during your CGM period. Now, my colleague Shramni will be taking ahead with the presentation and will be guiding you more about the journey. As of now, any questions that we have, Shramni, that you would want me to answer? Some questions?
So I've not checked in the chat box.
Okay. So what I'll do is, Shramni, please carry on with the presentation and I'll just take over the chat section, okay?
Sure.
All right.
All right. So now let us discuss about a very important thing. So everybody on their CGM period wants to experiment with the different types of food and different types of physical activity, everything. So now let us go in a systematic way what all the experiments you must be doing during your CGM phase. So first and foremost thing is vary your diet. So don't stick on to same diet, whatever you're having. Try to experiment with different types of diet. Take some high carb food one day and then go with the low carb food one day and then go with the high protein meal and with the combination of the meals. So try to experiment with the different types so that you can understand which is suiting you and which isn't suiting you, right? So experimenting all these things during this 10 to 14 days is very, very important. And then next comes the exercise part. So definitely with the exercise, there might be ups and downs. So as Radhika already mentioned, for few, it might cause a spike. So it also depends on if you have taken your pre-workout meal or not, etc. And it is also depending on the form of workout. So don't just involve in one particular type of workout. So go with different types of workout like your yoga, your weightlifting, SNC workouts, and walking, swimming, and whatnot. And just try to observe how your glucose patterns are being affected with these different types of workout and the levels of glucose as well. Okay. So, and then the important part is the snacking part. So, try different types of snacks. So, try with the fruits and also nuts and with the processed food as well sometimes. And protein rich snack as well, like you can take just the protein powder or paneer related cutlet or etc. etc. Try different types of snacking and also be mindful with the time of the snack you're including. So, for example, if your glucose levels are continuously dipping at 4 p.m. or in between 4 to 5 p.m., make sure you're including a snack at that particular time. So, whenever you're including snack in that time, then your glucose levels do not dip down. Instead, they start stabilizing and maintaining the graph as well, right? So, it's very important not to compromise on the snacking time. But the variety of snack you're including as well. And next comes the sleep pattern. So try to observe the impact of your sleep. I think we have examples of a few user CGM graph. Maybe we will notice the difference over a period of time how the graph's trends have changed. So sleep is also very important because your circadian rhythm is proper and your glucose control is also very good when your sleep pattern is better. So try to have a 7 to 8 hours of sleep and observe if you're not having a proper sleep, how the trends are, and after sleeping properly, how the trends are. Try to observe all these things as well. And then try to, manage your stress. So whenever you are under constant stress, again, it, fluctuates your glucose readings very much ups and downs. So make sure, you're doing perfect amount of exercises or any deep breathing, meditation practice, or declutter your space so that, engaging yourself into few activities which actually can get your stress levels down. So try to observe the impact of doing these activities, including these activities into your day-to-day lifestyle, and then observe the trends as well. And yes, definitely have a note on meal timing. So anything, so you may, try with intermittent fasting, try with 12 hours of fast, try with 14 hours of fast. So try to do this thing so that you can observe if the impact is there in the CGM. See, for example, whenever you're doing 14 hours of fast, like if you're finishing your dinner by 7 p.m. in the night, so then immediately you can see the difference in the next day morning spike. Because during the fasting period, again, your sugar starts stabilizing. And that's the reason it's very important to make sure you are maintaining with the meal timing as well. So you can try anything. You can try intermittent fasting or you can just take small frequent meals. Even that also has a vital role. And the last one and the important one is trying different foods. So try to include different varieties of food. So one day try to have whatever you're having at home. Usually try with that meal, and sometimes try to include different types of grains. Like maybe one day you can go with rice, one day with millets, one day with quinoa. So etc. etc. Try to incorporate all these things and try to observe the trends. And also with the legumes part. So for some, what happens, white chana might cause them higher spikes, right? So for some, black chana works good, rajma works good. So it is very important for us to understand which type of food is actually suiting you, which type of ingredient is suiting you, and which isn't suiting you. So try to experiment with all these things so that you can understand your graph much better. Okay, so these are the important things that you must be observing during your CGM phase in this 10 to 14 days, right? So now let us go through the graphs, which are, few examples when you're making changes, how the graph improves and all that. So first we have, yes, sleep part. So you can see very visibly that before having, before and after graphs. So where before graph was somewhere where the user was not at all having a proper bedtime, proper sleep routine was not maintained. Whereas After few days, you can see very much visible difference wherein the glucose trends started being constant and in range as well. So what happens during your sleep is that your stress hormones start increasing. And we all know that for a reason, during your night time, your insulin resistant are at its peaks, right? So when you're during this time, if you're not sleeping properly, your stress hormone called as cortisol starts increasing, which again increases your appetite, where you again start taking with the high sugary food or high carb food. So all these are something which can actually disturb and disturbs your glucose reading indirectly. So that's the reason having a proper sleep routine of 7 to 8 hours of time. So to improve your quality of sleep, maybe you can, listen to some any soothing music or sounds, and you can go for meditation, yoga nidra, which is there in our app, and also you can do several other things like maybe including soaked sunflower seeds or nutmeg powder before you go to bed, or taking a chamomile tea can calm yourself and improve your sleep. So with this user, chamomile tea was working really good. And magic doesn't happen just in one day. So you have to wait so that your sleep quality improves. And then you start seeing visible difference in the graph, just like this. So this is the same user graph, so which is the before and the after graph, right? And yes, so choose a good snacking option. So be mindful about the snacks which you're choosing in and the time of snacking time which you're choosing, right? So if you can see here, user have taken, tea with milk without sugar, definitely, but has taken 2 biscuits, right? So no matter what biscuits you're taking, so if you're taking sugar-free, again, fiber biscuits, etc., no matter what, they will give you a spike. They would give you the spike because they are added with so and so ingredients, which can again trigger your, spikes. So that's the reason. Be mindful, little mindful about your snacking options. And with the same user, the next day when he took a fruit instead of taking biscuits or etc., so you can see this spike, which is which did not raise at all, right? So that is also really very important. So for some people, what happens is that if they're taking just with the fruits, the spike might occur. So be mindful not to add just with the fruit, and including fruits and nuts in combination for few works great, because they do not spike at all, right? So that is also very important. So check the impact of your snacking options as well, right? And yes, so this one indicates like how pre-workout meal, adding a pre-workout meal stabilize the graph. So with this thing, we have actually done several experiments with my client. So we closely worked through improving his sugar level. So what happened basically was we planned for adding the workout in the evening as we saw the spike, but evening workouts were not working with his time schedule. And that's when we decided to add in a pre-workout snack. So when we added pre-workout snack, which is of fat sources and in combination of little amount of, simple sugars, like we have taken soaked nuts like badam, kaju, and we also added one date or one anjeer. That's it. So then we have seen a visible difference of, getting the graph down. So you can see the stability of the graph after working out, right? So addition of pre-workout meal definitely helps in getting your, increased sugars to stabilize, right? And yes, now let us learn about how early dinners and grainless meals helps us. So if you can see here, so every time the user was taking a meal, somewhere around 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock. So every time the meal was that, and also carbohydrate sources also were included. And what happened was next day, every time the fastings used to end up in the higher range and above the target, which is above 140 itself. So once we decided just to try it for one day, not to have any kind of grains during the night time, and dinners to be taken just 1 hour early. Like we've just started taking dinner by 8 o'clock and then without any carbohydrates. So we had experimented with just 2 egg omelets with, vegetables in it. So then you can see the spike, it was just stabilized and the fastings had immediate impact as well the next day. So it's very important. So, and everybody can follow this. So try to finish your dinner by 7 o'clock. It gives your body to work really great and you feel better the next day morning as well. So for that reason, make sure dinners are being early and follow the grainless meal pattern for stabilizing if the sugars are no matter what, if it is not at all going down in the fastings. So make sure you correct the previous day's data, right? Yes. Now let us learn about how portion control and balanced meal helps with the spikes. So if you can see here, this definitely indicates it is not a balanced meal and you can just see the food score, it's being 4, which is really not that great score. So if you can see the user have had lady's finger curry with half a katori and plain rice with 2.5 katori, which is a carbohydrate source basically, and boiled green gram with zero point 0.5 katori, which is a protein and lentil carbs in it, and also has had tomato chutney with curd, again fiber, and you're getting probiotics and all that stuff. So you can see the spike because of the carbohydrate load that it had. The spikes have really gone very high, and after doing a post meal walk, then it started dipping down. But when we changed the our meals with the plate method, which each and every coach discuss with you with 25, 25, 50%. So you can see the graph. So adding carbohydrate, just 1 katori of plain rice again, and salad, 1 katori, which is for your fibers. And then gongura curry, it's basically a green leafy curry, which Andhra meals especially has in their plan. So this one with half a katori, again, you're getting source of fiber. And Sorakaya curry is again a bottle guard curry, which is made in South Indian. And that one you can see, again, it is just a small amount. And boiled egg for your protein and curd as a probiotic. So you can see the food score have improved really great. And if you can see the spike, so it's just within the reach, right? So for that reason, it is very, very important for us to maintain portion control. See, even though if you're having any kind of snack or something, it's okay to have them, but make sure portion control is definitely there, and it should not happen very frequently with the processed food as well, right? So be a little mindful with the portion control so that the spikes are very much modulated and are in range as well. And now this graph indicates about rice versus millet. So different cereals basically. So if you can see here, here person have taken rice pongal with cucumber, which is a salad. So if you can see, there is 61 difference. So which is this one. Okay. So then the users started taking with the millets. So when millets were taken, you can see the difference. It was just 29. That is that initial point to the peaking point, it's just 30 points difference. So every time, make sure you focus on, being the race should be in between 30 to 50 and not more than 50. If it is more than 50 difference, then there is something wrong with your meals and you have to correct the meal proportion or change the meal or avoid the food option. So all these have to be considered during your CGM period. So this was the simple example of rice versus millet. So millets, again, they provide you good amount of fiber, protein, and also they have certain amount of good fats in it. So for that reason, this basically stabilize your graph over here. And this is pongal. And pongal is again very easily digestible. So that's the reason it peaks up little higher than the usual thing as well, right? So now we every time your coach is telling that do nitric oxide dump or prioritize doing a post meal walk. So these two are really very, very important. So why it is important is that so it actually have an impact on reducing our glucose levels, blood glucose levels. So what happens is that when you're doing nitric oxide dump, these are high intensity workout, which you can do it post your meals. So giving a 10 minutes, 15 minutes gap, you can do this 4 minutes wala workout. So what happens when you're doing this is that they are immediately absorbed by your muscles, and you can see a dip in your graph, right? So for this also, I have a example in the next slide. Maybe I will, show you the impact as well. So yeah, immediate reduction is there. And what happens is that your blood flow is also proper. So when you're doing high intensity workouts and nitric oxide dump, so as the name suggests, your body tends to release nitric oxide in your body, right? So what happens, your blood vessels being like this, it starts dilating and becomes very easy for your glucose to pass out, right? So for that reason, what happens? Your glucose supply is very rich and your muscle starts taking up, and that's when your glucose dip happens post your meal, right? And then next one is improve your insulin sensitivity. So if you're doing regular nitric oxide dump workouts, then you can see improvement that is happening in your insulin, and also post meal spike starts dipping down. So that is the reason you have to do your nitric oxide dumps. And next one is they reduce post meal spike. So it's very obvious. So whenever you're walking, they help in reducing your post meal spikes as well, and improve glycemic control. So very obvious that regular walking can actually contribute for overall improvement. It's not just for the meal, but also for the overall control in your blood sugars, and also they help in maintaining your stability in your glucose graph as well, right? So this is one classic example of doing NODs and post meal walks, how it impacts your sugar readings. So after you have your meal, when you are doing your NOD or post meal walks, I mean, if you aren't doing, so definitely they go up and they come down. And when you're doing your NODs or post meal walk, after you have your food, giving a gap of 15 to 20 minutes, after doing, you can see the dip that had happened, because your muscles are taking up the extra glucose that you have taken through the food. So this is one live example which had impacted the graph, right?
Ramni, sorry to interrupt you over here. We have a query for you.
Yeah.
So, the question is nitric oxide damp is to be done before or after the meal is what we are getting the questions. So, please answer this.
Yeah, it must preferably be done after the food. So if we are aiming for getting control over our glucose post our meals, then obviously you have to do it before the meals itself. So you can maybe give some 15 minutes gap after the food, and then you can go ahead with this quick 4 minutes workout. I think you would get a message as well, link attached with it of nitric oxide dump. So you can do this really works like a magic, trust me. So yeah, I think I've answered the question. Yeah. All right.
Ramni, please go ahead. Thank you so much.
All right. So now let us observe like what are the immediate actions. So we might observe there are spikes happening and dips happening during a CGM period. So now let us understand what is the immediate actions that you must be taking. Neither it is hyperglycemia nor it is hypoglycemia when we are under CGM period. I think now everybody are sure about, so whoever are there in this program since a long time. So first thing what you must be doing when you look that hypoglycemia have occurred. So when your CGM is indicating 80 and below with the sugar readings, first thing you should do is recheck your blood sugars. So try to recheck, try to take a prick in your glucometer to verify if actually the sugars are down below 70 or not. If not, you can just ignore it and you can just take a small snack or something. If not, if the dip has happened below 70 or so, then make sure you're taking fast acting glucose or carbohydrates. So you have to take in 15 grams of sugar, or 15 grams, I mean any kind of glucose tablets or something. Make sure you're taking them and wait for 15 minutes and then recheck the sugar readings with the help of glucometer. So if the glucometer indicates somewhere around, 90s and 100 or something, then it's absolutely fine. Maybe you can take a snack or a meal if it is a meal time. And then maybe you can, you can just repeat the process again, 15-15 rule. If the sugars are not increasing irrespective of taking sugar or something, If it happens third time, so even after doing twice with your 15-15 rule and still sugars are not spiking up, then you have to visit the nearest clinic, so that we don't, ignore that part. So make sure fast acting glucose are taken. So wherever, maybe if you're traveling, make sure you're carrying small sachets of sugar with you and also glucometer with you. Don't just rely on the CGM when the hypos are happening. So that is very important to take into consideration. So yes, take a small snack kind of thing. If it is, so in started increasing, and also don't try to overeat. So whenever you're taking too much of food, again the spikes are going way too higher. So make sure you're not overeating as well. Right now, let's understand immediate actions what you must be doing when there are hyperglycemia episode. Right, so first thing is stay hydrated. So try to drink good amount of water so that whatever the excess glucose is present, so they are washed out through the urine as well. So make sure hydration is important. So in a day, on an average, 3 to 4 liters of water is very important. Except for certain conditions, else 3 to 4 liters of water are definitely very important. So try to engage yourself into good amount of physical activity, like maybe you can go for a walk or do certain amount of exercises so that your glucose undergoes immediate dip. And yes, don't forget to take your medications. So medications are very important. So follow the doctor's instructions that has been given. So that is very, very important. So never skip the medications at all. So that, it's very important for us to make sure, you are under regular medications to be taken. And then adjust your diet. See, for example, whenever you're seeing hyperglycemia and your sugars are shooting up really very high, then at least for the next meal, make sure you're trying to avoid carbohydrate rich sources so that you can at least try stabilizing the graph. Until and unless you're hungry, make sure you're not overeating your food as well. So for maintaining stability, it's very important for you to include low carbohydrate, high fiber, and high protein food in the next meal. Or, if it is happening repetitively, the hyperglycemia events, maybe you can stick to that meal pattern, which doesn't give you the spike, right? So these are very important things that you must be focusing on. So now let us discuss about a few tips that can actually correct your DONS phenomena during your CGM period. So basically what happens in the DONS phenomena is that the blood sugar reading starts raising up eventually during the time of, somewhere around 3 a.m. to 8 a.m. So this increase happens because of several reasons like hormonal imbalances, like your cortisol, glucagon. So all these wake up hormones which comes into picture. So these actually ask your liver to release more and more amount of glucose. So that's the reason during your wake up time, the increase in glucose level happens. So now let us learn about how you can correct. So let us discuss few tips that helps in, correcting your DONS phenomena. So for DONS phenomena, the first thing, as I mentioned, it is bedtime snacking. So try to have a small snack just before the bedtime. So this must not be any carbohydrate sources. It should be protein sources and also combination of healthy fat. So that these two will actually help in stabilizing the graph in the night time, like in the early mornings, like 3 a.m., etc., etc., so that the stability of the graph is maintained. And then exercise. So try to do regular physical activity. So this should be especially in the evening time, so that this can also help in regulating our sugar readings. And then medication timings also. So make sure medication timing and dosage is also proper, so that the DONS phenomena doesn't occur during your CGM phase. And next one is consistent meal timings. So do not change your meal timings very frequently. So one day taking your dinner by 7, one more day for 9, and one more day for 10, 11. So never change your timings of your dinner, especially with the last meal. So make sure you're maintaining a consistent meal timing. Particular meal timing for your dinners is also really very important, which helps in modulating your sugar levels as well, right? and try to monitor your carbohydrate intake. So be very careful when you're taking your carbohydrates, especially when it comes to the evening section. So that is also very important. So make sure you're hydrated well. So as I told, dehydration again increases the sugar levels. So make sure you're drinking good amount of water during this to avoid this dance phenomena. And next one, stress management. So try doing stress relaxing techniques like, yes, of course, the number one is meditation. And for few, it is deep breathing practice. For few, it might be any different thing. So try to de-stress yourself so that that also can impact your sugar readings, early morning sugar readings as well. And proper sleep hygiene. So as I told, don't disturb your circadian rhythm. So do whatever your body wants to, right? So it is very important not disturbing your circadian rhythm. The moment you disturb your circadian rhythm or the sleep, the regulation of your glucose is also very poor. And that's the reason, again, it starts shooting up your sugar spikes, right? For that reason, make sure these are top 8 tips that you must be following during your to avoid your dance phenomena. So these are few 8 tips basically, right? Now let us understand. So basically, let me discuss about few disclaimers, important disclaimer during your CGM period. The first one is accuracy in data from the sensor. See, what happens is that, so during the sensor period, during the CGM period, you can observe certain dips happening as well for certain amount of time. Just for few minutes, the dips happen and it again comes to the normal range, right? So when we observed, we have seen that almost 40% of the times the device shows below 70, 80 or something. But still, even if it is below 60 or something, even then, if the glucometer readings are taken out, they range between 80 to 160. So there might be XYZ reasons why that dip is happening as well. So it's absolutely fine. So try to verify in the glucometer. It will always be 80 to 160 range ka readings only would be there, right? And yeah, the next one, tips that you must be remembering. So the first one is to observe the so what happens is that, as we already know, glucometer taking the reading of blood and CGM taking the readings from the interstitial fluid, the test samples are totally different. This being with the blood and this being with the interstitial fluid. So the lag in readings would be there, right? Because after you ingest your food, they must get converted to glucose, then go to blood, and then from there it should move to interstitial fluid. So you might experience the lag between the glucometer and the your CGM readings. So that you must remember during your CGM period. And the other thing is, what you can do is, so this CGM is just to observe the trends, not not to observe what the exact reading is. So CGM is something like a videograph. So you tend to see the full movie of your glucose readings, and your glucometer, it's just like a poster. At that particular point of time, at that moment, what is your readings, and that's all you get it, right? So for that reason, this is basically to ensure and to know about the trends, how the glucose is there, right? So this is one important thing. And yeah, so what is a CGM crash event, and how should you troubleshoot it? So first thing is that if CGM is continuously showing you 40 points more than 6 hours or so, then the crash has happened. So you will get the pop-up automatically, and our team will only reach out to you. So even the pop-up is there, please don't remove the CGM. So wait until the call comes from the CGM team from our backend. So then they will replace you within 10 days. Okay. And also for all CGM crash cases, yeah, as I told, wait for 4 hours or so. Don't immediately peel off your CGM or remove the CGM. Wait until the team gets in touch with you, and then you can move forward to remove the CGM as well. Okay. So in case it's been more than 24 hours, the crash has happened and nobody reached out to you, then make sure you inform your coaches. So when you inform your coach, then they will connect with the supportive department and they will get the issue sorted as well. So for that reason, make sure you're little mindful about things. So whenever the pop-up appears as crash, never remove the CGM immediately. Wait for the concerned department to call you, and then you can move forward for the further steps as well. Right. And whenever you're removing the CGM, don't immediately throw the CGM or put it away. So you should have that CGM, because when you're getting the replacement of new CGM, you have to submit the old CGM. So for that reason, make sure you're not discarding your CGM even after the crash has occurred. Right. So yes. So now we will have some fun kind of session. So let us have a quick quiz about your CGM thing. So maybe I will ask you a few questions. You all can put your opinions and your answers in the chat box. So yes, the first one. What is a good practice when using CGM for glucose monitoring? So first one, not logging in the meals and activities. And B is logging in all the activities. C, ignore CGM alerts. And D, eat more sugar to see less, to see higher glucose levels. So
So
which,
Shravani,
what
we
is
have
the
mixed answers over here. We have few with A, a lot of answers with B, and few for C as well. But I see that almost 85 of the answers coming are B for us, Shravani.
All right, that's nice. That's nice. So yes, it's very important for logging in all the activities during the CGM period. Only then your coaches can understand like what was exactly happening, right? So log in all the activities. It's really very, very important. Because maybe 1 or 2 days you can remember what food you had and when was the spikes better and all. But at a stretch for 10 to 14 days, it's highly, highly impossible. So make sure you log in the activities. It's really very important. Yes, and the answer is B. So logging in all the activities. And now the second question. What should you do if the CGM shows low sugar levels, that is hypoglycemia, after checking with the glucometer? First one, drink a glass of water. And B is follow 15-15 rule. C is go for a walk. And D is take more medication or insulin. Yeah.
So
Here
again, we have a lot
is
of combined answers over here, Shravani. So we have A and B, but
yes,
almost 99% of the answers over here are B only.
yes.
Mr. Latesh, drinking a glass of water is a very good idea, but not when we are having hypoglycemia, right? So here the correct answer for us is 15 by 15 rule. So that's the correct answer.
All right. So this third one. Which of the following activities can help you understand how your body responds to different foods when using a CGM? So A is skipping meals. B is eating the same food every day. C is experimenting with different foods and monitoring the results. D is avoiding all the carbohydrates.
All the answers are getting loaded by the option of C, Shravani.
Yes, 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 yes. It's very important to experiment with different foods so that you can understand how your glucose response is there when you're trying different foods. So it's really very important for us to be very mindful on experiment different things so that you know which one to avoid and which one to include in your regular diet as well, right? And the fourth one, why is it important to log your activities while you are on CGM? So A, to increase your glucose levels. B, to better understand the impact of different foods and activities on your glucose levels. C, to reduce the battery life of your CGM. And D, to avoid using the CGM altogether.
So the best part here is, Shravani, even before you could finish the options, we were
Yes.
loaded with a lot of answers of B over here. And
C.
I think we
Yes.
are successful in today's presentation with this.
Yes, 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 yes. And the answer is definitely B. So, to know the impact of your glucose readings, and yeah, B is the right answer. And
That's it.
then last question, which of the following might cause your CGM sensor to lose the accuracy? A is proper calibration. B, keeping the sensor dry. And C, sleeping on the side of the with the CGM. D, monitoring your glucose regularly.
A lot of mixed answers here again. So we have A, B, C, D. All the answers, but a majority are C. C are coming as the
Yes.
majority of the answers, Shravani.
Yes. So yeah, there are a lot of mixed answers here as well. So definitely C is the right answer, because when you're sleeping on the side of your CGM, what happens is that the pressure that the CGM faces, so that can again, give you ups and downs readings during your sleep time. So every time sleeping on the other side of the CGM installed is also very important. So, basically what happens whenever you tend to install your CGM, so it is very important to analyze which side you're sleeping the most. So the side you're sleeping the most, don't install the CGM. The opposite side your CGM should be installed, right? So yes, the answer is C again. All right. So this
I
is
will
about
quickly,
today's session.
yeah, I'll quickly repeat this for everyone, Shravani.
Yeah.
कुछ चीजों का हमें ध्यान रखना होता है for the CGM when we are, when the CGM is with us. So अगर आप majorly right side पे सो रहे हो तो put the CGM on the left hand. अगर आप left करवट पे सो रहे हो तो put the CGM on the right hand. Okay, ये चीज का आप ध्यान रखिए. Avoid wearing too tight clothes. अगर बहुत tight clothes, like you can see my kurti. It's quite loose. There is a gap in between my skin and my kurti. So this is an ideal way how you can wear your clothes. If it's like too tight for us, ये आपके CGM readings को alter कर सकता है. Okay. So just take care of these things. And if someone here is a swimming lover, do not deep dive more than 100 meters. Again, the splash of water can, alter your CGM readings. So ये चीजों का आपने ध्यान रखना है. I have a question over here. So Miss Mehru had asked me, हमको कब तक ये सारी चीजें follow करनी, for how long do we have to follow all these things, and can we stop it once the CGM readings are over? So I think this is a very good question for all of us. So please pay attention while I'm answering this question for all of you. Now we are living with CGM. We are living with diabetes. Okay. Do not take, अरे हमको diabetes है, हमें ये करना पड़ता है, वो करना पड़ता है. Let's be very positive about it. We are having diabetes and therefore we are on this platform, and therefore we are so mindful about our eating, about our sleeping, about our physical activity, right? So because of diabetes, we are taking care of our health today. Now, when it comes to diabetes, this is something which is going to stay with us throughout our lives. Okay, it is a constant and continuous process wherein you have to be mindful. The difference is, if you will take it as a task for 1 year, it will become very difficult for you to maintain the sugar levels post 1 year. If you try to modify and you try to improve your habits right from today, it will become a constant habit for you. Then you don't have to take in extra efforts to manage your sugar levels. For example, I know that okay, following a proper meal sequencing is helping me to manage my glucose levels well. I try working on it, and from today I start having my salads first, then having some proteins, and then having a portion of carbs. Now it will take me initial 8 to 10 days to work on this, but then it becomes my habit. So post 1 year, you don't have to take in extra efforts to manage your sugar levels. This has become a habit for you. So the answer is yes, constant efforts are required, but if you try to, incorporate healthier habits for you, you don't have to worry and put in a lot of extra efforts to manage your sugar levels well. Shravani, we have a question. Can you please explain once what is 15 by 15 rule? We have a question on this.
All
If you
right.
can.
So, yeah. So 15-15 rule is basically followed when your sugar levels are going below the normal levels. So whenever you observe, so during your CGM, it is continuously observed. So whenever it's going below 80, you can just recheck and confirm your glucose readings. But what if you're not under CGM? So then what you must be doing is just observe. If you're feeling very unusual, you're feeling giddy, you feel tired, and you're sweating excessively, then make sure first thing to do is to check your glucometer reading. So after you check your glucometer readings, and if you observe the levels are going below 70, that indicates you are hypoglycemic, wherein your sugars are not sufficient for your body to function properly. So then what you must be doing, then take 15 grams of simple sugar. So it can be the sugar, glucose, or anything of sweet kind of thing, but preferably sugar should be taken for 15 grams, which is 3 teaspoons or 1 tablespoon of sugar. Wait for 15 minutes and then check your glucometer readings again. So after checking your glucometer readings, if the levels of your sugars are going like 80s and above, if it is touching 100, then it's absolutely fine. You can take the next meal directly, or if you want to take a snack, so you can take your snack. But what if it is not coming, above again? So if it is not increasing, then try to follow 15-15 rule again. So 15 grams of sugar, wait for 15 minutes, recheck the values. So even then, if the sugars are not at all going above, like they're not touching 100 at all, then it is very necessary for us to visit the nearest clinic or hospital, right? So whenever the hypo episodes are happening, please don't wait for your coach to respond to you. So make sure you're taking this treatment immediately by yourself, because this can happen any period of time. And of course, we know that if the coaches are in call or any other sessions, the immediate responses might not be possible every time, right? So for that reason, this is a self-treatment kind, following the 15-15 rule. 15 grams of sugar, wait for 15 minutes, recheck the sugar readings. So that way, it is really very important for us to monitor. So I hope this is clear with the 15-15 rule, right?
Thank you so much, Ramni, for answering this. I hope we have answered most of your queries, and all the questions were answered. So thank you so much for connecting. I request, if you have any doubts, any queries, you can of course listen to the session once it's shared with you. And also for anything, which has to be like, Mr. Raghvendra had asked for a diet plan. So these are very personalized things, right? So please get in touch with your coach. They will be helping you to provide with these personalized things for you. ठीक है? सो आप प्लीज अपने कोच से कनेक्ट कीजिए, वो आपको हेल्प करेंगे इन सब चीजों में. Thank you, Purnima. Thank you for the appreciation. These things surely help us keep going ahead, and we will be bringing in such more informative sessions in the coming weekends for you. So that's really amazing to hear these comments from you. आपके प्रीमियम ग्रुप पे आपको ये सारे रिकॉर्डिंग्स मिलेंगे. वंस इट इज शेयर्ड विथ यू, आपको मैसेज ड्रॉप इन हो जाएगा. ओके, सो यू कैन ऑल लिसन ओवर देयर. All right then, we'll take a leave for today. Leaving you with a thought that CGM आपके लिए कितना important है और आपको किस तरीके से इसको use करना है. So please keep using it. Please keep yourself updated with the information what the CGM is providing you, and be in touch with your coach, because trust me, your coach is that one point of contact for you जो आपको जर्नी में बहुत ज़्यादा हेल्प करता है to improvise and to make the things better for you. So stay in touch with your coach, and they will be surely helping you at the best to motivate you, to help you with some better numbers, and to make you fulfill the purpose of joining Sugar Fit for you. Thank you so much, team. Eat healthy, stay healthy, and have a wonderful Sunday ahead. Thank you so much, Ramya and Neha, for joining in.
Thank you.